Hey guys, Avi Kahn here, formerly EchoFall Studios. I know it's been a very long time, but coming at you right now with another tutorial of Adobe After Effects, this time taking a look at some basic motion tracking. Check it out. All right, so as you guys can see, very subtle effect, basic motion track. You've got a girl in the park, little notification element pops up, follows her phone, and then disappears. Very subtle, but it works. Let's check it out right now. All right, so here we are in Adobe After Effects. What we're gonna do is we're gonna drag in our footage. So I got this from a stock footage website. Let's drag it in right here. I'm gonna name this girl in park. You rename clips just by hitting enter on your keyboard. And let's go ahead and start a new composition. Drag right down here to new composition. And there you go, we have the girl in the park. I'm gonna take another image I just found on Google Images of a notification, drag it in here. Let's drag it into our comp, and let's set the blending mode to multiply, right up here. So you can see it also it takes out the white, also makes it a little transparent, which is great for our purposes. Let's drag it right to where we want it. We can hit S on our keyboard and just scale it down. That looks about good. All right, let's turn that off for now. Hit the eye right there on the left side. All right, now let's create a null object. Let's go to Layer, New, Null Object. A null object is basically an invisible layer that you can put in your composition that has all the properties of a visible layer. So things like position, scale, rotation, and you can parent or attach other elements in your composition to that null object. So whatever you've programmed, whatever you've keyframed, let's say the null object to do whatever properties you apply to the null object, if you parent a layer to it or a different element in your composition to that null object, then those elements will have all those properties as well. For example, if I was to keyframe my null object to move a little bit upwards and I had 3 circles and I wanted them to do the same thing, so I could parent each circle layer to the null object. And so as you see, they would all follow suit, moving up a little bit just as the null object does. All right, so we've created our null object. Let's now click on the girl in park footage and go to the tracker on the right side. If you guys don't see the tracker, then go up here to Window and then go down and hit Tracker right there. So we're gonna click on it and hit Track Motion. So now you see we have a bunch of interesting stuff going on here. Let's zoom in a little bit. And you see that this track point kind of has 3 elements to it. It has this crosshair, this little plus sign in the middle. It has an inner box and an outer box. So what are these 3 elements that we have here? So the plus sign is called your attach point. The attach point is basically telling After Effects, is telling our tracking software which pixels it should latch onto. Next we have this outer box. So this is called the feature region. And we want to put this around the element that we are tracking. And in this case, it's going to be the phone. So we'll see that in a second. The element is the phone or the top of the phone. And so that's what we want in that inner box. And the outer box is the search region. So this defines where After Effects is going to look for the feature or the pixels that we selected with this attach point and with the feature region. So let's go ahead and move this right now. You can move it just by grabbing on the inside, and you can see it zooms in a little bit to show you exactly what you're doing. So let's put it right here. Now guys, it's very important when we're setting up our track to give the software something to work with. So we want to look for a point of high contrast in our image. So we want to find something either very light that's surrounded by things that are maybe lower in shadows, that are darker, or we want to find something very dark that's surrounded by a more highlighted area. So the software can differentiate between what we're trying to track and what we're not trying to track. So we see, let's place this right here on the black. Let's take the feature region, the inner box, and let's show the element, which is the phone, that's right about good. And then let's take the outermost box, which is the search region, and which defines where After Effects is looking for our pixels, and let's make it a little larger right here. So let's go ahead and to this right side over here back on the tracker, and let's do Edit Target and make sure that's set to our null object, null 1. And so make sure the motion target is set to null 1, position, rotation, and scale. With more advanced tracks, we would use rotation and scale. For now, let's just stick to position. So what we want to do is let's zoom out a bit just to see our track, and then go over here back to the tracker and hit the play button or the analyze forward button. You can see it's going through the track and it's doing a pretty good job, and we lose it right around there. So you can go ahead and hit stop because we're not going to need that element anymore. Hopefully we'll have brought that off the screen. Let's go back to fit up to 100%. And let's take a look at it. So you can see it's doing a pretty good job, and actually all these little boxes are actually keyframes. So let's go down to Girl in Park over here. Go down to motion trackers, and you can even open it a little bit more. And you can see that these are a bunch of little keyframes on its position that's telling it where it should be. So that looks pretty good. So let's go back over here and hit apply. You should have a little box come up. X and Y is fine. Hit OK. And so now we have all of that tracker data. We have that on our null object. Remember, we had the target set to null object. So all of that data on the position of the tracker is now applied to that null object. So let's go ahead to our notification. We could turn it back on with the eye. And we could take the pick whip, this parent pick whip tool, and we can parent it to the null object. So when we do that, when we parent the notification to the null object, as we explained before, we're giving all of the qualities that we applied to the null object, in this case, our tracker data. We're going to apply that as well to the element, to the notification element. So let's take a look at that right now. Let's scroll through our footage, and we see that that notification element is actually following the phone, or following our track point. So that's already looking pretty good, but let's add a little animation to the opacity and to the position, just to make it pop up like a notification would. And obviously you guys could add sound effects for a notification, like a little ding or whatever you guys want to do. So let's set the opacity to 0 and make a keyframe, and let's go right about here, almost a full second, and then we're going to set that to 100. If you guys don't know how to keyframe, then make sure to subscribe to my channel, and we'll definitely be covering that in a future tutorial. So we see we have it pop up right now a little bit on the screen, nice little opacity. And then let's add in one more thing, very subtle. Let's click on the stopwatch here to set a keyframe on position, and let's position it a little down. Let's go to where it appears, and then let's have it come up a little bit, just like that. Very subtle, but it kind of adds to the notification vibe. Look at that. We could even drag it out to make it come up a little slower, just like that. And then let's go down to opacity. Let's set a keyframe just by hitting right here. And then let's have it disappear a second later. Set that to 0. Let's take a look at what we got. Pops up, follows the phone, and disappears as she walks away. All right, guys, I hope you learned something from that tutorial. Basic level of motion tracking, but maybe in future tutorials we'll delve a bit deeper. Subscribe below for more content, and anything else you'd like me to cover in video editing, please hit me up in the comments. Let me know. I'd love to do that in future tutorials. Have a safe one, guys. Hey guys, Avi Kahn. Coming at you. Hey guys, Avi Kahn here, coming at you. I can't do it.